This is All About Home Construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Good morning, Randy. Oh, Randy's running slow. You've been in here for 30 minutes looking online, shopping for tools.
Yeah, Terry got to talking about tools today. So.
I'm so sorry, guys. Randy, he is in the studio. It's just when you start talking about tools, he's like a little kid in a candy store. You remember back in the day when everybody got the Sears catalog and for Christmas and everybody goes through the whole catalog? That's what Randy's doing this morning. So anyway, good morning. What's going on, man?
Just wore out from that dinner last night.
How did that go?
Good.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that lots of people came out and support the VFW, so thanks again for that. And food was good?
Well, yeah. Oh, of course.
Nice. And then decent crowd, so that's really cool. So, well, good stuff, man.
Well, you know, we do have a new roof on the building.
Sweet.
And, you know, we do have a retaining wall that was falling down.
That's right. Hey, how's the brick project coming along?
I think they got the first quota of brick in.
Sweet.
So now they're just waiting on the weather.
That's cool. That's awesome.
And then that's for the memorial. So keep in mind, if you have a family member that was a veteran in Watauga County, whether it's a veteran that fought in combat,
mm-hmm.
or, you know, American Legion is for veterans that never was in combat.
Right.
That this memorial is forever veteran in Watauga County. Matter of fact, being I'm a member, I'm allowed to even put my father's brick on the memorial. Cool. And being my brother's a member, you know, he's retired Air Force. But just, you know, people don't really get enough recognition for the veterans and stuff, and this is a way to do it. And plus, it helps rebuild the memorial too,
mm-hmm.
because this is original memorial.
That's awesome.
And so just think about that and give the VFW a call. And, you know, you can't ask me for the number because I can't remember. You know, Randy's got dumb because of a smartphone.
I know. It's true. I have had this conversation many times. You know, back in the day, you would at least write a number down. Today, it's like you hand someone your phone, they type it in, and then you text them, and they don't even type your number in, you know?
Yeah.
It's like they just save the contact. So, yeah, I'm with you. I get it.
Probably the only reason I can remember my home line is because it's my business line.
Yep. So, I mean, I go to the store, I go to a grocery store or something, and of course I've lost all my cards, you know, for those programs, and it's like, what's your phone number? I have to think about it. Okay, hang on, let me get this right. So, no, I get it. So, well, anyway, thanks for listening out there, and happy Saturday, all of our listeners. I hope they're staying warm and dry and don't blow away this weekend, as we got lots of winter weather here in the high country. Lots of weather, period, right? We're under a winter advisory because Randy likes snow and ice like he had this week. And then lots of wind because, you know, what else do we need besides wind to not finish knocking down the rest of the trees?
Yep.
And, you know, it's we were talking about it during the week. You and I were texting. A couple months ago after the hurricane, you and I talked about how, like, we're worried about this winter if we get ice, you know, because there were a lot of Band-Aids up after the hurricane as far as the power is concerned. And which is, I'm not criticizing. I mean, it's what needed to happen, but I knew if we got an ice storm like we got this past week in the high country, we would see a lot of power outages, and we kind of nailed it on that.
Well, yeah, they the other day they said there was over 1,000 people out of power.
Yeah, well, you know, we were up to like 10% of the county. I know during the on and off about some of the school stuff. So that last day that we had no school, they turned to a no day. 10% of the county was still without power when I looked. But that's what scares me, because we're under this winter advisory. We could see a wintry mix off and on this weekend, and we're definitely under a wind advisory tonight and tomorrow. So we're going to see some more trees pop down. So don't walk away yet.
No, and keep your skill saw handy.
Yep.
And, you know, if we go back into this, what they're talking about, this rain, that's going to loosen up a lot of more stuff.
Well, and we are under a flood watch tomorrow, like tonight into tomorrow. But that's another thing, because there's a lot of landslides. Like we've gotten some heavy rains since the hurricane, but we've not got flooding type rains since the hurricane. And I worry that when we get those, we're going to see the rest of the ground shift, right? Because there's a lot of newly uncovered dirt that's going to still move.
Correct. Well, this rain this last week no more than it was. I mean, it was heavy rain during the night, but even after they've reworked the bottom in front of the house there, that water liked about 8 inches getting to the top of the banks.
Wow.
So that means even though they're saying we're under a drought, the ground has got a lot of water in it.
Right.
And let's just hope we don't have any forest fires this coming year.
That's the scary part, for sure. So, I guess that's the one good thing about the wind coming in. Like it's going to be wet at least, so that should help that part. But no, I'm worried about it. Lots of falling stuff still. And just this past week saw some pictures of some people who have trees and limbs and stuff falling on the house, and I've not heard any major damages. Anyone in my network of friends, but it would not surprise me with just the way the weather's been with and again just the fragile state of sort of the geology and geography.
Well, one of our past bartenders, that storm dropped a tree on her car, and her house. Didn't hurt her house, but it broke the back glass in her little car. But it's not over. It's not going to be over till a while.
I would say we're when it comes to stuff like that, we're still a couple years off. I mean, I say that because we talked about the straight line winds for a decade, right? That came through, and the damage that it caused to the forest canopy and stuff, and I think we're going to see that again with this. And I don't know, you just gotta hang tight, I guess. But go back and listen to our show on wildfires from several weeks ago. We talked a little bit about keeping your house safe from that part, and I think a lot of that still applies to wind as well, right? Like keeping it in terms of keeping the area around your house clear from trees and stuff.
Correct. So. And it golly, I tell you, we've had it all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've even had minor earthquakes. So, gotta love it, man. But
well, of all these years, we've always been secluded.
Mm-hmm.
Hugo's the only thing that really did the most damage.
Exactly. Yep.
And then we had the straight line come through.
Yep.
And then we had this. So we're not like everybody else in the world. We're getting it too.
Yep. Yep. So it's rough in the region, that's for sure. So, but what do you do, right? You just hold on, fix it, make it better.
Correct.
That's about all we can do. So, but yeah, go back and listen to that one, especially. I think that'll help some listeners out. Go to the podcast, All About Home Construction. Of course, we got the Facebook page, All About Home Construction as well. And well, just like everything else, you can go back and listen to all of our shows. It's good stuff. Good stuff. So. All right. Well, before we get into the topic, I do have a listener question we haven't gotten to, and that is installing these EV plugs for your house, right? So, lots of people are buying electrical vehicles right now. It's the popular trend for various reasons, and I'm not opposed to them myself. I'm opposed to them because I'm not in the market for a new car, but. Other than that, it's pretty cool stuff. But how do you go about, Randy, installing an EV plug, like yourself, DIY, I guess you'd say?
Well,
or can you?
Not really, because it's dealing with electricity. Okay, and anything you do with electricity has to be done by an electrician. And I wouldn't even, golly, I can't even remember what I heard these charging stations like at CVS, the cost of them blowed my mind. And but it's not the point of the station itself costing so much. It's the electric lines that has to go to that station.
Right.
All right. And I don't, like everything in your house is in parallel. Okay. Well, they talk about how much energy these charging stations use. Now, I wonder if there's enough voltage to go through them if they have to put their own transformer in. That's what I'm trying to get at. Sorry, guys, I'm a little tired from that dinner yesterday. And
well, the average cost is right now is depends on how long it is. It's like $5 an hour, according to my Google skills.
Well, it's saying here a Tesla wall connector is $450.
Right.
Now, there's a difference in connectors. Like a Tesla J1772 wall connector is $580.
So, if I'm installing an EV plug in my house, then I guess it would be $220 getting to it.
Oh yes.
And so hooking up the wiring it to it is where a lot of the expense is going to go, especially if you do it where you're in a garage or something where it's not just tacked up on the side of the wall. In other words, to do it right, and safely. Well, again, the electrical needs to go either through the wall or through some kind of conduit too. You can't just have a 220 insulated wire.
If you run the wire outside the wall, then it has to be in conduit.
Okay.
And they're saying here the average cost is $2,000 to have a unit installed.
Okay.
And the average cost of the charger is between $500 and $800. I mean, you know what? Everybody loves electricity. Everybody hates electric cars.
Sure.
But I really think that if a person lived in the city, that the electric car would be the way to go.
Right. If assuming you have a place that your own house, right? In other words, a place where you can charge it if you're not living in a condo apartment.
But if you're going to travel, gasoline's still the way to go.
That's my thinking personally on it. But yeah, I was just curious. So again, you would recommend though everyone to go through now because you're doing electrical work. You're adding on. An existing garage, for instance, you wouldn't need a permit, but you still would need to go through an electrical.
No, you have to have a permit.
You would have to have.
Yes, you would. This would have to be inspected.
Okay.
This is not a DIY job.
Gotcha.
Because think of this, and if you DIY your own deal and your house burns down, your insurance won't cover.
Gotcha. That's the cover. And I would imagine too, if you sell the house. Do it yourself, you sell the house, that probably opens up some issues as well.
With a home inspector.
Yeah.
Going on down and scrolling here, reading it, they can go up as high as $4,000 for a charger in your house.
Okay.
And it depends on the vehicle.
Sure.
And, and unfortunately, I'd like for anybody out there who's got one of these new electric Ford trucks, and let us know if you can run your whole house on it, the way they show in the commercial on TV. When it takes 20 kW to run your house in the county?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't. I mean, the TV says yes.
Well, I mean, I just look at that commercial and I'm going, wow. Does that truck produce that much power?
It'd be cool if it does.
If it produced that much power, it couldn't run over 2 hours.
Right.
See what I'm getting at?
Yeah, but you got to have. I mean, it's a huge battery draw.
Correct. Now I could be totally wrong, but if somebody's got a Ford truck out there, an electric Ford truck, tell us how it works. Because I know I watched national news about that guy going. I don't know where, going from New Orleans or I can't remember, but he had his electric Ford truck, and he had his trailer with his Mustang on the back, and he was going out west somewhere, and he's having to stop and charge every 3 hours. And Ford Motor Company actually wrote him a letter and apologized to him because it did not get the performance they said it was going to do.
That's neat that they did that. That's cool. So, well, there you go. There you go. Give us a call, 828-262-1567. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So, tell you what, we're going to take our first break, and we get back into the topic here in just a moment. Thanks for listening. Are you ready to level up your home construction game? Obviously, you've subscribed to All About Home Construction. Now we would like to ask you for some support. You can be like Dave, Bill, and Skipper and help support All About Home Construction. The links are in the show notes. That's right. All about home construction here on AM 1450 WATA, FM 96.5. Thanks for listening to us. And yeah, happy Saturday morning here. Don't forget the All About Home Construction on the podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, please share it with friends. We're ranking again, Randy. We're number 4 in the nation, top. So we're inside the top 5. We appreciate that so much, and appreciate all of our listeners. And the more you like this, the more you share this, and the more you put those little comments on this, it actually beefs us up. So, thank you.
Yep, we do appreciate it.
So, all right. So we were talking about EV chargers a little bit ago, and this is a fun rabbit hole, and those long-time listeners know that we like to go down rabbit holes. So we'll chase this one a few minutes. That's all right. So, okay. So did you know there's 3 different levels of chargers?
No, I did not.
So level 1 charger is 120 volts. So that just uses a standard household outlet. So 120 volts, 15, maybe 20 amps, right?
No, that'd be 15.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess you could, yeah, 15 amps. So, and then you would, but that some of those charge times can take up 12, 24-hour times to charge. So that's, that's not going to be a quick fix, quick fast charge type thing. The advantage to those are, though, you just plug it into a standard outlet.
And that's right. It depends on what your commute is.
Right. If you're not looking for a fast charge or that overall, you're not in a hurry, right? In other words, if you can make it, because that's the con, right? It's a very slow charge, especially for long range, long trips and stuff. It's going to eat you up. But then there's the level 2 charger. The level 2 charger is the 240 volts. That's what we were talking about before the break. Yeah. So it requires a 240, just like a dryer, maybe an oven would.
Yeah.
You're going to get full charges 4 to 8 hours for most of these chargers. So that's going to be a little better for your the daily charging, I guess you'd say. In other words, if you drive enough to charge it, or you're looking for a fast charge. So much faster, but again, that's where you're going to need that professional installation, and because it's a whole dedicated circuit to it now, right? And then there's the level 3 chargers, which are the DC fast charging, which uses direct current, and so those operates on 400 to 900 volts, and that's where you're going to start to change the 80% under 30 minutes type things, right? So that's the stuff that you're seeing these gas stations and CVS and things like that, these rest stops. That we're talking $20,000 equipment there. This isn't a homeowner deal. This is where the sort of the
professional,
professional commercial stuff comes in.
They have to take all the security that they can to keep somebody from being electrocuted.
Right.
Think about them boxes that have to be waterproof and everything.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the DeWalt here, and it's a 32 amp charger. Now it's a 120 240, so it actually has a plug that will go into your dryer cord.
So he's right.
So you can actually buy a cord, which I did, a 50 foot. Now it was $100 and some bucks.
Yeah, right.
For my welder. Mm-hmm. So
when I was doing wood floors, right? That's what the big gray wood floor cable was not Jeep, but that's what that cord was.
And correct, but it had to carry the amperage.
Yep.
All right, and that's what this cord is. And now 32 amps is not a lot, but it's still a number 10 wire.
Right.
Okay. And one thing I like about this DeWalt charger is, like I say, it's interchangeable. You can just drive up and plug it into 110 volt, but your 220, it's also got the plug for it, so it's computerized, so it automatically changes. But it's 12 and a half hours to charge on 240 volts.
Yeah.
All right. And I hadn't found the listing yet on how long it takes for the 110 volt charge.
Right. It would you would think be close to twice as long, not half.
Yeah, assuming. Yeah. But it says that it on 240 level 2 electric, 32 amps of power, it only charges 24 miles per hour.
Right. Well, and that's what I was reading on some of these. Again, the level 2, 24. They said there's some of the faster chargers can go up to 50 miles per hour, and then the level 3 I lost this. Level 1 was 3 to 5 miles of range per hour of charging.
But that'll give you an idea. Now you can do your DIY.
Right.
Because if you got your cords and everything, you just unplug your dryer.
Plug and roll. Right.
That's it. Yeah.
And if you're traveling, I'm thinking you go and get an Airbnb, Verbo. That's probably something you could take with you when you get there and then
start charging automatic.
But I will say the one thing that I worry about is, 50 feet of cord, 100 feet of cord sounds like a lot, but when you go to plug in a dryer and you have to get it outside, I can tell you from my wood floor experience, it's not going to be the easiest always to get it out.
No, it's
to the
not.
car. In other words, that 50 feet would not be enough. The 100 feet is going to eat up pretty fast because you got to figure you got to go in a closet somewhere in the laundry room. Now, if it's close to a garage, which a lot of laundry rooms are, you're okay. But there's a lot of houses that have laundry rooms in the basement, or they have them in the middle of the house, and so now think about it, you got to get it outside a window or a door of some sort to get it to there. So it works. I just don't know how practical that is. Especially, could you imagine coming up and going, all these people who come up for the week to go skiing, and they're here in the high country in an Airbnb, and now they're running a cord out the window to charge their car.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be practical in a everyday sense. So. It's good stuff. But I'm curious too. I mean, again, I don't have a smart car. I have lots of friends who do, and I know a lot of our listeners do. So give us a call, 828-262-1567. I'm curious what you have ran into as far as like pros and cons when it comes to charging the batteries or charging the cars up. Yeah, before the break, you were talking about the Ford and that car potentially powering the house. I was looking at this thing. It's called the Eco Delta Pro Ultra. It's basically a battery backup for your house, which is ingenious. That's the coolest idea, because we see those with like computers.
Yep.
Maybe you got a little bitty battery thing. We got one here at the station, and that used to go bad and beep on us all the time. But so lots of people have those battery backups for computers and things. It makes sense that you have a battery backup for the house.
Yeah, but being the way Randy is, a Generac would probably be a little better.
Well, fair. But, I mean, the cool thing about that is you don't need... now, a lot of people hook them up to solar, or something like that. So I'm not saying you can't. But the cool thing is they make systems that just plug in, and so it trickle charges from the grid. But that way, when the power goes off, it automatically kicks in. And so now you can run your refrigerators and lights, and according to this commercial, you just add battery banks to it. And we were looking at the one, it was talking about how you could wash clothes or dry clothes with it. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially if it's running a dryer.
Right. Well, now I got to looking about it, and these battery backups, has a practical everyday use as well. It's not just an emergency, and that is when peak hours sometimes can change your rates, right? So in other words, if you're pulling a lot of power when during the peak hours, it's going to cost you more than if you do it off the peak hours, right? So if you're doing that, you could run during the peak hours. You can run off the battery,
correct,
and then charge it back up at night when it's cheaper. I think that's a pretty cool sort of use of it. So
yes, it is. Now tell them the price.
Well, price doesn't matter, Andy. We're not talking about prices. No, it's $6,000 for this one particular one. Now, I didn't dive into it enough to know like how much a battery is, because it said it was upgraded or up. You could upgrade up to like 6 battery packs. I'm not really sure. I didn't dive in that deep on how much a battery pack is, but I do think it's cool technology, because that is sort of not quite self-sufficient as something like solar or wind power would be, but it's getting you closer to it. And when we think about this week, we've had lots of some people were without power for a couple days again. It would be nice to have that reliance of
correct
a backup.
Oh yeah, about like everybody when the hurricane come and
right.
we didn't have generators.
Exactly. Yeah.
And golly, I couldn't imagine all the food that went into the dump. Excuse me.
Well, I mean, that's what gas grills are for, buddy.
Correct. But I don't have a gas grill anymore. I had my wood stove. I cooked on it.
Cook on it.
So, but how many people don't have a wood stove?
A bunch, yeah. No, I'm with you. So, but yeah, I think those are cool. Those battery backups. I think it's a cool idea. So some of those systems, and again, just sort of.
Well, they are. Regardless, they're going to be coming.
Right.
And for all you believers that want to get rid of fossil fuel, look in your house and see what's made out of it.
I mean, what's not made out of it would be cheaper. I mean, because even that wooden bookcase you got has got polyurethane on it.
Correct.
And a good chance, especially if it's over 10 years old, there's a good chance it's a actual polyurethane from fossil fuels, not some of these water. I say that because some of these water bases can use other alternatives, but yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like even your wooden cabinets, there's a good chance to have polyurethane on them from fossil fuels, and so it's my thing. I don't get bought up in the whole like political thing of electricity and versus gas, electricity versus fossil fuels. I think electricity has a cool place because it's instant power, right? I mean,
correct.
If you ever, okay, I'll go back to when I was, the portable sawmills. Most of those were gas powered, but you could get it with an electric engine or motor on it. And the cool thing about that is it's instant powered. It's instant torque, right? Like when you turn it on, you don't have to wait for that engine to rev up.
Correct. And
to me, as far as a usage thing, if you can plug it in, you're going to get better usage out of it than with a gas engine, for instance. So I mean, I like electricity. It's if you've ever used an electric chainsaw, it's easier to use than a gas powered chainsaw. The problem is and we're slowly getting there, but to me the problem is that you don't get the performance and power out of it as you do with gas powered engines, right? Especially that chainsaw example.
Correct. Now I don't know anybody that's got electric chainsaw, but I know that they're picking up pace. With the new batteries and stuff.
That's the cool thing. And I used them in the past where you had to plug them in, and that. Now again, you're not going to go down cut large trees down with this, right? Because it's running off an extension cord. But it was handy. And when I was doing a lot of the sawmill work, like if I had my own little homestead scale saw lot, I would have one. I said that many times because you can just pick it up. There's always a knot or a limb or something you need to trim off. You just pick it up. You don't have to turn the saw on. You just press a button and it's on. And to me, that's the cool thing about with all electric vehicles or electric tools rather. You just press a button and it's on.
Well, they have come a long ways. Back in the early '90s, DeWalt came out with the first battery-powered skill saw.
Right.
It now is only a 6 1/4 blade.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're doing cedar shakes, and we thought it'd be nifty.
Yeah, because you just zip, zip, zip.
Yeah. The only problem was you couldn't go zip, zip, zip. It was worth throwing off the roof.
Yeah.
Because it couldn't even cut a machine shake if you got the blade off a 1/16 of an inch, the blade would stop.
Yep.
And
then the battery would last about all of 20 minutes, 10 minutes.
And good idea, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
Now, compared to today, and I was telling Terry, one of my employees has a DeWalt battery skill 7 1/4 skill saw, and it'll run about 4 hours framing.
Wow. See, that's so cool.
And
I mean, it's come such a long way, because I'm with you. I remember in the early 2000s using some of these battery powered saws, and they're great for a handful of cuts, especially because. And what I liked about them at the time was it worked perfect for the need, because you can make this handful of cuts. Typically, when you're only making a handful of cuts, part of the problem is dragging out that extension cord and dragging. Yeah. So it's really handy just to go zip and put it away, but that's the difference of using it. It's a tool for the purpose, right?
That's right.
And it's going to be a quick thing. It's not going to replace it. But we're getting closer and closer now.
Well, I bought me a tree saw, a Milwaukee, and it'll go up, I don't know, 7 foot, and it's battery powered, and it does pretty good.
That's cool.
And it's not really that heavy either.
Right.
But I enjoy it. Or I've not used it. My daughter's used it, trim her trees. But the thing about it is it's coming a long ways. And I'm not an advocate of Milwaukee, but I have switched all my tool lines over from DeWalt to Milwaukee, and the reason for that is because of DeWalt batteries.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with the tools, but it costs too much for batteries.
Right. Fair. We'll take another break. We'll come right back right after this. Thanks for listening. Is your hardwood floor in need of a refresh? Look no further than Lifestyle Hardwood Flooring. Serving the high country and surrounding areas since 2003, they specialize in sanding, repair, and installation of beautiful hardwood floors. Their expert team delivers quality craftsmanship you can trust, ensuring that your floors look stunning and they last for years to come. Call them today at 336-246-4800 to schedule your consultation. That's 336-246-4800. Lifestyle Hardwood Flooring, where your floor meets perfection. That's right. All about home construction here on AM 1450 WATA. Thanks for listening to us. Check out the podcast, All About Home Construction, wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you don't know what podcasts are, it's just the way to listen to this recording, right? So all of our radio listeners, you just go online, and as long as you have internet access, you don't have to have anything special. I mean, apps, there's all sorts of cool apps that help you, and I think I can talk about several sometimes, but ultimately when it comes down to it, you don't need anything special. You just search it up and a browser will play it, and YouTube.
All you gotta do is ask Alexa,
and that's it. You just ask your smartphone, and because we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we are on YouTube. I mean, that's pretty much all the big ones.
Hold on here now. Randy didn't have nothing to do with that. Terry did all this.
Hey, no. Look, it's magic. It's magic of technology. It's great.
Randy can build homes, but he's got to leave the computer stuff to somebody else.
That's fun. But no, anyway, go ahead and share it. It really does make a difference when you share. So even our listeners on the radio, if you'll just click on it once in a while, it boosts our numbers and it helps us out and get more listeners. And
just think, our rating here in Boone, North Carolina.
No, top 5 in the nation, baby.
Yep.
Home residential construction talk shows. So we appreciate that. All right, so we were talking a little bit about batteries and some of the battery powered tools, and to me those tools, it's so cool that they're getting so much better and better, and I think that's fun because again these tools have a place. So, but before we get into my question to you, we got a caller in the air. Good morning, caller.
Quack, quack, quack.
How are you, sir?
Better than I deserve, but for the grace.
Glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. A real quick question for you. It used to be that the life of the battery got shorter the faster you charged it. Is that still true?
I don't think it is on the lithium. And now the nickel cadmium quick charge, yes, it did. And quick discharge too.
Yeah,
But-
and the older it is, the quicker it goes. But the charging times get shorter because it didn't charge up as much.
Correct. Well, they say the nickel.
All right, guys. Real quick one. I just want to say hi. I hope y'all are having a good day, and I'm gonna shut up and listen.
All right.
Thanks, man. It's good talking to you, Bill. I hope everything's going well, and hope you had a good Valentine's Day.
Going into it, I had a huge hickory tree come down in the backyard that was damaged in Helene, and I really hated that. As a beautiful shagbark hickory that's about 2.5 feet across, 10 feet up.
Right. Oof.
That will dull a chainsaw blade in a hurry.
I don't know that I would use that battery-powered chainsaw on that one, buddy. Just saying.
No, sir. Well, it was cut 3 cuts and sharpen the chain, fill it up full of gas, and cut 3 cuts.
Yeah.
It was a long couple of days.
I can imagine, man. Well, hopefully it didn't tear anything up, and the good news is it's down before this next windstorm that's coming in. And like, I mean, you heard us talking about at the beginning of the show. Like, I'm worried about this weekend because we're gonna have a flood watch and high wind warnings on top of
my yard's still soup.
Right.
Whoever it is that keeps talking about the drought intermittently needs to come take some of this water from here.
Fair.
I'm tired of sinking up to my ankles or more in that drought.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
And well, I'll tell you what, it's the ground. There's water in the ground, and more than people thinks. But it's this deadfall all over the woods. It's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, it's kind of like that bucket under the faucet that's running. It got full and it's running over.
That's it, man. That's it. Well, Bill, I was looking at it. Lithium-ion batteries, they're rated right now 2,000 to 3,000 charge cycles per battery. So that's quite a bit more than those.
Well,
what I was going at was that charging rate you were talking
Right.
about.
Oh, I'm with you. Yep.
The chargers, and I said used to be the hard. If you put 50 amps on it. The batteries didn't last long.
No, they don't. But now you get back to the old nickel cadmium. You know, that's what we were always told, that every time you'd recharge them, they'd get less and less.
Yeah.
But you could actually bring those back with 2 car batteries.
I remember talking about this.
And because
you need to talk about that again. I've got a bag full of them.
Well, the 18 volts. You know, they got positive and negative on each side, but it takes 2 car batteries hooked in series. Okay?
The 24 volts.
No, the nickel cadmium 18 volts, stuff like that.
No, I was saying the car batteries.
Yes.
If there's a series, it'd be 24, and if it's in parallel, then it'd be 12.
Yeah, and then what you do is you take the wire, you don't hook it into it, you tap it like 3 times, and that knocks the memory back out of it.
Oh, okay. All right. I remember you talking about that way back when, and that's a good thing. Like I said, you buy a $120 tool and a $60 battery when it goes out.
Well, you know, that's the reason I switched over to Milwaukee, because I had my DeWalt batteries, and they wasn't but a little over a year old, and they started dying. And I bought that 18-volt flex battery tools from Milwaukee, and I went a whole day without charging the battery.
Wow. I just happened to get a drill driver with Porter Cable. Have you had any experience with those?
No, not really, but Porter Cable's not a bad tool.
Yeah. Well, it's used as pig in a poke.
Hey,
but
sometimes that's the best.
I've also had people tell me that they're going on the Temu site and buying these batteries, and like for $39, and they're doing excellent.
There you go.
Ooh.
And because my batteries are extremely expensive for my Milwaukees,
Well, it's all on the Gillette model that we'll give you a handle and charge you out the you-know-what for the blades.
That's fair. That's fair. So.
Well, I hate you lost your hickory, because I tell you what, it's been a long time since I had a hickory nut.
Yep.
Most people,
it put out a bunch.
Most people don't know the difference between a sweet hickory and a bitter hickory.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I don't see a whole lot of shagbark hickory, so and it was pretty, and it shaded the house really nice in the summer.
I took my grandson squirrel hunting this last year first time, and that's where we were going to a shagbark hickory trees. They was two up on the mountain I knew, and I couldn't even get to them because the woods was all laid down around me.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there wasn't
too much climbing to do the hiking.
Well, no, if he'd have shot something, then it probably took us about 2 hours to get it out.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay.
That's it.
All right, guys.
Bill, we appreciate you, buddy.
It's getting to be close to that time, but hope you have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to us. Thanks for all of our listeners out there. We'll take our last break. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening. The Boone VFW Post 7031 is looking at making improvements to their Veterans Memorial Wall, and you can help. Here's Chuck.
We could do engraved bricks to cover the memorial. It's in honor of the veterans who have served and some that have given their all for our country. And that's the one thing that we feel as the VFW that we can do to honor those who have come before and those who are even present today.
But Chuck, what do we have to do to participate?
You don't have to be a war veteran in order to be a part of this memorial. It's just that you served.
What is the cost?
That fee is only $50, but it's a lifetime investment.
If you would like to help participate by honoring a family member, a friend, or a loved one, you can contact the Boone VFW Post 7031 at 828-264-9570. They are on VFW Drive just off of State Farm Road here in Boone. Thank you for all that have served. All about home construction here on WATA. Talking a little bit about batteries now. We'll get into that subject. And we appreciate Bill for calling us. And again, give us an email, give us a shout out on Facebook, give us a call. We'll get your questions out on the air too. But, he had mentioned something, Randy, about the batteries. And one of the things that I think is interesting when it comes to these newer battery technology, right, as we go into the last 25, 30 years, the deep discharge, like it used to be, do you let it discharge all the way before you charge it? Blah blah blah. Well, with the lithium ion, it's actually fine, really, to charge it at any level. In fact, if you don't let it completely discharge, in other words, if you keep it charged, it's going to help expand and preserve the lifespan.
Correct.
For the batteries.
I watched a video the other day that. If you let your lithium battery run all the way out, a lot of people put it in their charger and it will not charge, and they assume that it's dead. It's worthless.
Right.
The charger will not pick it up and charge it like like your car battery.
Right.
Okay. So.
Well, it's better for the long-term battery health if you take those lithium-ion batteries. If they don't experience a frequent discharge, you're actually better off. For those lithium ions,
like your cell phone.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also not good. Don't keep it at 100% forever. Like, it's okay to use it up. That 20 to 80% range really is where you want to start looking for. But what about storage? Because we've had this conversation, you and I, about wintertime versus summertime with some of those old nickel batteries, right?
Well, the lithium are a little worse, okay? And they are a temperature battery. And at 30 degrees, a lot of times they won't charge.
Right.
At 95 degrees, they won't charge. So they actually, there was an article, Popular Mechanics, talking about these batteries.
Right.
And they actually recommend that you have a cooler made to hold your chargers. Mm-hmm. So you can put it in the shade in the summertime and keep your battery cool, so it'll charge up. And if it does take a charge in hot weather, it won't last as long, just like if it will take a charge in cold weather, it won't last as long.
Right.
But they say in the wintertime, take your same cooler that you got made up and put hand warmers in there, and that will keep your batteries warm so they'll charge.
They'll charge up.
And I was looking, had a guy talk about the Temu batteries, okay? And which, it's like Terry said, you're probably looking at a DeWalt battery.
It's probably made at the same factory.
Plant. And 'cause I'm looking at a DeWalt battery here that's a 5-ohm battery. The single battery is $99. All right. Then I'm looking at the same battery, and the 20-volt lithium from Temu, you get 2 batteries, and they're 8-ohm for $31.51.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's pretty good.
I like it. Well, you'll have to try it out.
Well, I have one employee that does have them.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. So that, again, I think battery powered tools in general, battery power has come such a long way. And
it's going to continue to improve.
Yeah. But it goes back to what I said before. Like, electricity is cool. Like, electrical tools, and I'm throwing cars and all sorts of tools in with this. Like, yeah, I mean, there's a reason we have more electric powered washer and dryers than we do gas powered, right? Like, it's easier. It's better in that sense. And with performance and stuff.
Yep, it depends on what you want.
But yeah. But I'm with you again, like Bill was saying, like, it's not there yet to completely replace the other. Like Bill was mentioning, you're not, cutting down that tree, cutting it up, is not going to be good for a little battery powered chainsaw, right? Like, it still comes back to what tool for the right job, and and again, I don't think we're quite there yet when it comes to car technology either. Like, it's not necessarily the right tool for all jobs.
Well, I just hadn't figured out why they hadn't put solar panels on them.
On cars?
Yeah.
Well, they do. App State won a contest a few years ago about that.
Well, I know that. That was in Hawaii, but I'm just saying the technology is out there that they could put the solar panels underneath the top coat on.
Right. I don't know. I guess it's like everything else. It's a money thing.
Yeah, because I talked to the owner of that company out of Maryland.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
And I even had a sample of it.
That's cool.
Because what I was looking at was retrofitting the metal roofs that we had with the solar panel, because the solar panel could come in inches in the width, and it could come in a roll 100 foot long.
Nice.
So you'd cut it, put it underneath your ridge cap, and tie it all together. So every roof out there with a metal roof could have solar panels on it.
That's been cool. You're like me. You're a little too early sometimes.
Well, you got to think outside the box.
Yep. That's it. Well, anyway, thanks again for listening to us. Share the podcast. I keep asking because we're trying to get. I'd like to get up to the top 3, but we're top 5 in the nation. We appreciate that, and it's good stuff, fun stuff. Thanks for listening to us. Don't forget, again, just all about home construction. Good luck this week with the rain and the wind and the cold weather, snow. Again, I do worry more and more about the flooding and the wind based off of what we saw the last week or two with ice. So,
and thanks everybody for coming out to my supper last night.
I'm really glad to hear that went well. It's always good to hear that, and thanks for coming out and helping them out, help the VFW out. That's awesome. So, and they'll have a breakfast coming up in a couple weeks. So, first Saturday of the month. So we're a few weeks away from that. But hope you had a great Valentine's Day. For those that were busy, hope you have a good date night tonight.
Oh, I had my Valentine with me.
I love it. So, well, I'll get there. We got one that decided to go to Florida for Valentine's Day, but that's all right. Anyway, thanks for listening to us. We'll take a break, or actually we'll end the show because it's what time it is. But anyway, we'll be back next week, and we'll see you then. Take it easy, man. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Again, we really appreciate you tuning in to another episode of All About Home Construction here on the podcast. We truly appreciate you joining us every week.
Absolutely. It's listeners like you that make this show possible and keeps us motivated to bring you the best home construction tips, insights, and stories.
Hey, so if you're enjoying this show, we would love for you to help us out and spread the word. Share this episode with a friend or on social media. Anyone who might find our tips and advice helpful.
That's right. And if you want to go the extra mile to support the show, consider becoming a patron. Your support helps us keep producing great content week after week.
Yeah, so just head on over to the link at the bottom and check out the different support options. Every little bit helps, and we've got some fun perks lined up for our patrons as well.
And thank you again for being part of All About Home Construction family. We can't wait to keep building with you.
That's right. Thanks a lot.
Thank y'all.